From January to December, Los Alamitos is always here with great racing on weekend nights. The track of Sunsets and Stars always offers the best of quarter-horse racing, plus action-packed distance events. Our upcoming state schedule will feature the Los Alamitos Winter Derby and the Brad McKinzie Los Alamitos Winter Championship, plus the Denim and Diamonds on February 22nd, plus some of night racing's biggest pools. Great racing continues at Los Alamitos. Fun weekend nights at the track of Sunsets and Stars.
And we're back here on the Los Alamitos preview show ahead of a big week of racing here at Los Alamitos, because we have trials to the Los Alamitos Winter Derby on Saturday, trials to the Los Alamitos Winter Championship on Sunday, and of course, we have Ed Burgart back calling the races for this big weekend of racing. I see that you're in your car, so you must be driving back from Laughlin, Nevada, back to Los Alamitos, right, Eddie?
Right, I went back to Laughlin on Tuesday, coming back to Los Alamitos here on Friday, stopped at the exact same location in Newberry Springs, Shell gas station and a Subway to get a sandwich before I hit the road and try to go over the Cajon Pass without too much traffic. But looking forward to a terrific weekend of racing. Of course, we have the trials for the Los Alamitos Winter Derby on Saturday, 3 trials, and 2 trials for the Brad McKinzie Los Alamitos Winter Championship on Sunday. So looking forward to watching some outstanding horses run.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to mention that we are going to have a later post time here on Saturday, starting time 7 p.m. for the Saturday card. We'll start at 5:10 p.m. on Sunday. And like you mentioned, some really good trials. And I know you have some selections to give us for the weekend action. So I'll get right to it. And let's talk about some horses that you think are worthy of a look.
Well, maybe before the winter trials, I believe the last 4 races on Saturday are all quarter horse races, which comprise the late pick 4. Thought there was a price horse to consider in race number 5, drawn on the outside, a horse called Naive, who qualified for the finals of the Governor's Cup Futurity last year. Simply does not like to run from an inside post. If you take a look at the lone victory for Naive, which was prior to the Governor's Cup Futurity, it was from the extreme outside post. And Simpson's faced some really good horses, faced Up to Party, who's a 2-time Futurity winner, and last time had the rail post, and from the rail, the horse never leveled, tried to lug out practically the entire length of the stretch until the final 100 yards. I think you're looking at a much improved effort here for Naive.
Yeah, there he is. Naive, the filly by Favorite Cartel out of Knocking on the Door. And I remember her. She qualified to some stakes races here at Los Alamitos as well. So Naive, Cesar Franco, riding this horse, Mike Castleman doing the saddling. I do have a replay of this horse. And this replay, again, December 28th, she is going to start from along the rail, right, Eddie? Here we see her acting up a little bit, but if you recall this race, if you want to share a little bit of your thoughts on this effort.
Right. If you take a look at Naive's trying to turn the head sideways, lugging out, not liking the inside post at all. And I think you're going to see a much improved effort with Naive coming to the outside, as Naive never really leveled off in this race and ran a little bit past the wire. But going back to Naive's lone victory, it came from the extreme outside post. And in this particular field, there's no horse in this race, in my opinion, that's going to go much faster than 15.65 or 15.70. That gives Naive a good chance at a price to win, especially drawn on the outside.
6-1 on the morning line for Naive. And like you mentioned as well, we do have trials for the Los Alamitos Winter Derby. 23 horses will be in action in a total of 3 trials, some really good horses. What are your thoughts on this set of trials?
Well, the first trial, you have Brown Coffee, who ran second in the Los Alamitos 2 million. Definitely a horse that's going to be the big favorite and a horse deserving to be the favorite. Then in the third trial, you have Cartel Perry, who I believe ran third in the finals of the Golden State Million and had trouble in a trial for the Los Alamitos 2 million. And you have a horse that's trained out of its mind, a horse called Apolitical Bet, since that disappointing effort down at Albuquerque. But I talked to some trainers at Albuquerque where the inside post wasn't that good. So I think you're going to see Apolitical Bet run much better.
9-5 on the morning line, the owner, Kay Russell, trainer Monte Rosa with Armando Cervantes. Armando Cervantes, our leading quarter horse rider last year. Monte Rosa, our leading quarter horse trainer as well. And Apolitical Bet, 3 straight really good victories here at Los Al before going to Albuquerque, like you mentioned. And as well, that January 4th workout, we have several horses that posted gate works coming into these trials. In Apolitical Bet, a 12 flat, Fastest of 15 that morning on January 4th. Worked from the inside post against Blood Viper in that workout, and I do have it, so I like to show it really quick because it was noteworthy in the fact that posted a 12 flat, but it wasn't a perfect trip for this horse in that gate work, right?
Right. What caught my eye with the apolitical bet was the horse listed as a 220-yard gate work, which is what it was. But it looked like the rider let him run another 200 yards around the clubhouse, turning the gallop out, and he was absolutely raging with run. And it was the same way in the prior drill when apolitical bet worked by itself. So based off those two drills, you're looking at a fairly fresh horse coming in and going 400 yards. I think will be ideal. So that's going to be my key play in the one of the three trials for the Winter Derby.
And once again, here is a political bet from the inside post, and you can see that kind of a handful there, and broke into the inside just a little bit. But from here on out, Eddie just separated himself from Blood Viper, and like you mentioned, look at the way that this horse is going to finish, especially that big gallop out.
Right. The gallop outs mean a lot to me, especially when they're going a further distance. But take a look at apolitical bet around the clubhouse turn. Obviously, the rider's trying to get him ready to go 400 yards, and apolitical bet did the exact same thing on the gallop out back in December in that 12:10 gate workout, which I thought was even better than the 12 flat because he had no company in that 12:10. So I think Monte Rosa's got apolitical bet ready to fire a huge shot here in the trials for the Winter Derby.
Well, excellent, Eddie. You gave us a little bit of a price play there on Naive 6-1 and a horse to watch for this workout on apolitical bet in the Winter Derby trials. I know you still have a drive here to get to Los Alamitos Racecourse, so I will let you go. Again, thank you so much. Looking forward to hearing your calls. Everybody loving your calls. I see so much fan interaction with you calling the races last weekend, and I'm sure that'll be the same this weekend.
Right, and I'm looking forward to this weekend, and then Michael Ronald will be back next week. And like I mentioned to you before, Orlando, I think Michael's done a terrific job, and just so glad that when I retire, we had somebody of Michael's quality to take over.
No doubt about that. He is enjoying the Australian Open there in his homeland of Australia. So thank you so much. We'll be seeing you this weekend, Eddie.
All right, thanks a lot.
So we'll be right back after a few commercials. We'll have George Duarte to talk about the big weekend trials here at Los Alamitos.
From January to December, Los Alamitos is always here with great racing on weekend nights. The track of Sunsets and Stars always offers the best of quarter horse racing, plus action-packed distance events. Our upcoming state schedule will feature the Los Alamitos Winter Derby and the Brad McKinzie Los Alamitos Winter Championship, plus the Denim and Diamonds on February 22nd, plus some of night racing's biggest pools. Great racing continues at Los Alamitos. Fun weekend nights at the track of Sunsets and Stars.
We're back here with the Los Alamitos preview show now, joined by George Duarte, who, of course, writes the comments on the Nightlines program. Base, how you doing, George?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for this weekend. It's a really good, I think, especially the late pick four on Saturday. I think there's no singles to be had. I think it's a good competitive races and gets to see some upcoming stars.
No doubt about that. And of course, we have some really good trials as well on Sunday because all the big names will be in action there. Just a Good Wine, who ran second in the Champion of Champions, is one of the headliners. London Toby, who won the Winter Championship, will also be in action on Sunday. And a horse that kind of caught my eye a little bit of that last work, Edgar Verde, the Brazilian superstar. I thought had a really nice workout there going into this weekend's action. So we'll talk a little bit about those horses here a little bit later in the show. But of course, we want to talk about the Winter Derby trials. We have three of them. And I'd like to get your thoughts on each one of these trials, beginning with race number 6, Brown Coffee, the big name here. After running second in the Los Alamitos 2 Million Futurity as the fastest qualifier, favorite Just Hawk, who has been terrific many times this season, won the Governor's Cup Futurity. Train Bitaka coming off of a victory in the Holiday Handicap. So a loaded trial here to start off the Los Alamitos Winter Derby trial action.
Yeah, we have a really good matchup. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and hopefully will get answered in this race. Will Brown Coffee be able to build off that 2 million, really good 2 million, where he had the lead going into the final 100 yards and, was run down by a really good horse in Lethal Cowboy. You got favorite Jess Hawk, who just likes to win. He has 5 wins, and he was unlucky to not qualify for the 2 million. He won pretty easily while, he did drift out, but he won comfortably. I think that kind of hurt him. If he would have had some more competition, it would have pushed him to run a faster time. Then you got the horse that was a star early in the season, and Listen Now, who started off really good, looked like was going to be a main contender for the big futurities, and he kind of had a rough little fall. And then last time, he got right, won easily, won like he looked like he did in the beginning of the year. So we get to see if he gets to build off that effort. And then you have the up and comer and Train Bitaka, who's has done everything right in the 2 tries he's had here over the course. So it ends up being like a really interesting race. It's hard for me to find a single. If I had to take a horse on top, I have to go with favorite Jess Hawk. I feel he has more to give. Like last race, he won well in the consolation, and he just likes to win. If he's in range, he wins. So I just think Brown Coffee, he draws outside of Brown Coffee, which I think is good. And he has a target. I think he's going to be able to run him down late. And I think in a really competitive race.
Yeah, what I noticed from this horse is like in those last 2 outings, at 400 yards, he's really shown some really good quickness out of the gate. Of course, in the Golden State Million Futurity, he broke fast, but just got into some trouble, ran into some trouble. But the quickness was there out of the gate, and then comes back and runs a super trial effort to the Los Alamitos 2 Million Futurity. Like you mentioned, just unlucky not to qualify. I actually went with Brown Coffee just because here at Los Alamitos, he just has done everything right. And has so much experience at these longer distances. But definitely favorite Jess Hawk. Brown Coffee is going to be quite a matchup here in the opening trial. Let's take a look at trial number 2. And when I was putting together my my late pick 4 ticket, I went with a single here on Cartel Perry. What are your thoughts in this race? Ed Burgart really likes the 5 Political bet off of those really nice workouts as well.
Yeah, I really respect the Political bet, and he did have trouble in that juvenile race in Albuquerque. And if you look at him, he did actually gallop out pretty good. It just took him a while to get going. I think it was he had to start from the inside, but it was from the inside in a new track. So I can dismiss that race. He's like Ed said, he worked really, really good in those works. But I really value a start at 400 yards. If you see all these horses that have the 400-yard start and then you see their next one, how much better it is, it shows you how much importance it is to get that distance, experience. So that's why I agree with you, and I went with Cartel Perry. I really liked his Golden State Million Futurity final. I think with a clean trip, he passes Lethal Cowboy for second. And then he just had bad luck in the trial. It was no fault of his own. The horse just swerved right in at the start and just took his path. And he still finished trying to the wire. So I especially with the experience, and this time he draws in between slower breakers, I think he'll get that clean path. I figure Apolitical Bet will have the lead early. And I think in the final 16th, you're going to see how much that distance experience matters.
Okay, well, let's take a look at this race that you mentioned from let's take a look at this race that you did mention from Cartel Perry. It was the opening trial to the Los Alamitos 2 Million Futurity. And Cartel Perry, where is he starting from, George? Is he starting from post number 7?
He's post 5.
Post number 5.
I remember this race. Dash for Power is the 6, and she lugs in right at the start. Yeah, takes him out. So he had no shot at having a clear path. And then he has to alter out right there from the kickback. And then you see him, he gallops, he finishes well. He has no problem. He didn't quit. He still showed hard and finished fine.
So even with that trouble, you can definitely see this horse, just how hard he's trying there at the end. And just again, one of those things, unlucky to qualify. Devil's Tower did qualify out of this trial, right?
Yes, and ran third in the 2 million.
Okay, now let's take a look at the third trial to the Los Alamitos Winter Derby, and this one is shaping up to be a pretty wide open contest. There's about 6 horses that you could really consider for a top spot in this trial. Favorite Semental at 5-1, Norco at 2-1, Sophia, a horse that qualified to the kindergarten futurity. You have Princess Abigail, who began her career at Ruidoso, bottled it up, qualified to a couple of stakes races last year. Show and Tell Cartel ran in the Los Alamitos 2 million, Powerful White Lady, solid runner, and City of Blood, a horse that won his trial to the Golden State Million Futurity. So with so many different choices here, who did you land on, George?
My top pick is Princess Abigail. I thought I liked her. I liked her heading into that trial against Brown Coffee and Favorite Semental, and just lost all chance at the start when stumbling sharply. So, but if you look at that race prior, in her local debut, she really ran really well, and is bred to handle the distance out of Significant Heart that ran here locally. So I just think, and then it's weird that I think Eduardo only chose to ride this one and not riding the horse I liked in the race before. So that makes me feel maybe him and Odell figured, let's get Ayala accustomed to Cartel Perry because we think we're going to qualify both, and this is the one I want to ride. So that's that's my thinking of why they did this. So that gives me even more confidence in that Eduardo is only riding this one in the trials, because he could have easily rode both of them. So I think he really high on this one. At least that's what my thought is. I could be completely wrong, but that's what my thought is. And this race is not necessarily filled with a bunch of horses that want to go 400 yards. I think Favorite Semental is good, and he finally put it together last time. Normally he always veers in and out, and he actually kept the straight path and finished. But if you look at his size, I don't think 400 yards is his best distance. And that's how I kind of feel about Norco. Norco should improve second time off the layoff and second time going 400 yards. But if I look at his size, I think he's just a little too small for me to really like that he's going to excel at 400 yards. So I think he can easily win the race, but I think he is vulnerable as the favorite. Val Sofia does not want anything to do with more than 300 yards. Same with Ball It Up. I'm not sure he wants to go this long, even though he's out of the Thorburn mare. I think the main threat to Princess Abigail is Show and Tell Cartel. Ran really well in that race in the 2 million. If you watch the replay, had a bunch of trouble and still finished strong and should have gone up for fourth in that race. He really finished well. Was full run. If he had a clean trip, he would have easily contested for third in that race. Draws in between, draws out inside of a slow breaker and Powerful Wise Lady. So I think he's going to get his trip. Franco's been riding him really well, and Elena's been doing good. And then she's really good at keeping horses improving once she has them going well. Powerful Wise Lady, if I'm really, really spreading, is one I would throw in because she can finish well in her races. It's just that she is just such a mess at the start. And City of Blood is a horse I was high on early, but he just keeps making mistakes and he keeps running with his head up. And if you watch his work on January 4th, he does the same thing, has his head up a lot. I think he's just still not professional enough. He still needs more experience, and one I would like more later in the year.
Going back to Show and Tell Cartel, prior to the 6th place finish in the Los Alamitos 2 million Futurity, back-to-back runner-up finishes, and look at the horses that he ran second to. Walking Tool, who went into the 2 million Futurity undefeated, running second, Show and Tell Cartel to Walking Tool in the Asai handicap, and then ran second to Lethal Cowboy 1, 2, 3 in the trials to the 2 million. And Lethal Cowboy 1, 2, 3 went on to win the race. What did you say? I'm sorry.
He beat Up to Party for second in that race.
Yeah, up to party, a multiple futurity winner here at Los Al last year. So Show and Tell Cartel, definitely a horse that could be in for a big Derby season and will be a factor. Again, this is a really competitive trial. I like Norco, especially after running a good second to American Dreaming in the trials. Had been out of action since running in the Edberg Million Futurity, and his first two starts were just amazing two starts. Got into a little bit of trouble there. I got pinballed in the Edberg Million, and then comes back at 400 yards, first out of 400 yards of a long layoff, then runs second. So Norco is definitely one horse that I'll be keeping my eye on in tremendous bloodlines as well. Favorite Cartel out of Moonlight Corona. We're going to take a quick break, George, and then we'll come back and talk about the Los Alamitos Winter Championship trials on Sunday night. And we're back with the Los Alamitos preview show. We just showed a little promo for the Los Alamitos calendar giveaway featuring all the stakes races that will be run here at Los Alamitos in 2025, plus a lot more, some great colorful photos, some tidbits about life in the mornings here at Los Alamitos as far as the horses training and so much more. So that giveaway takes place next Saturday. That would be February 1st. Free with your paid grandstand admission starting at 4:30 p.m. That's when the giveaway will begin. So we are talking now, George, the trials to the Los Alamitos Winter Championship, the Brad McKinzie trials, and there's 11 horses in there, so only one is not going to advance. So this is more of a fine-tuning for these really good horses. With London Toby, Just Good Wine in the opening trial, Unrelentless, Edgar Verde, and Scoops Dynasty. What a field of just stars right in this opening trial.
Yeah, I mean, it's a compact field, but you can easily see all five of them winning the race. There's going to be Unrelentless is trying older for the first time. London Toby has, he consistently, as long as he has his path, he consistently runs his race. You know what he brings to the table. Just Good Wine ran a bang up race as his first start at Los Al. Figures to improve under Heath. Figures to improve second time at the distance at Los Al, and he's only 5 years old, so he still has room to improve. And he uses the speed. Another one that's interesting is Ed Burgart. They keep him once they get here from Brazil. It takes them a while to get going, but then they just keep improving and improving and improving. And he has become a really good, reliable gate horse. And including in that work on January 4th, he broke like a shot again, and runs his race, and one that you have to respect in here because he will most likely be in the lead early. And in a race, how you said is a tune-up, could find himself, get brave and just hold on. And so this is a race. It's hard to. It's hard to spread in a horizontal wager when there's only 5 horses, but there's easily all 5 can win, and you can take a stand. But for me, if I'm going to take a stand, I would go too deep and go 2-4 and Just Good Wine and Ed Burgart. I think Scoops is lost a step in his last 2 since adding the flipping halter. He's been breaking straight and running straight, but he just hasn't run the clockings to win in a grade 1 race. So if I had to eliminate only one, I would say Scoops, even though he has the outside post.
Well, for the key for all of them is just make sure you finish ahead of one other horse, because if you do that, then you're going to come back for the Brad McKinzie final in 3 weeks. So you want to make sure that you get a clean break, no crazy things happening. Even if you do finish last in this one, you want to make sure that you get there with a solid time, and you have a pretty good chance. You were talking a little bit about Edgar Verde and how he just continues to get better and better. And I do have a gate work here for this runner. because he did do things just very, very professionally. And that work took place on January 4th. It was an 18.5 work, but more about the time was just the way that he just looked very professional doing this gate work. So, and here we have the work from Ed Verde. This horse, remember, has now finished third in a couple of Grade 1 races here at Los Alamitos. I'll go ahead and hit play, George, and if you want to talk a little bit about this work and what you're seeing from this Brazilian star.
Yeah, I really like his gait quickness. He's been really professional in the last 3 starts. He gets away good again here, and I wouldn't worry about the clocking. I would say he's similar like Favorite Jess Hawk and Cartel Perry, where they don't really run necessarily fast works, but when they race against competition is when you really see this them kick it into the higher gear. So I wouldn't really worry about the 18.5. I think he wasn't really asked. I think it was more to make sure they had a start work before this trials because they know it's important. They know he needs to be able to get out of the gate. So they got what they wanted. They got him that quick start out of the gate. No, he's all right. He's still good to go. And then just let him run on his own to the wire. So I'm not really worried about the time. I know what he's done on the track, and that's what more I'm concerned about.
Yeah, this horse has not run since October 14th. I think that was the night that
the Robert L. Boniface.
Right, he ran third behind Jericho and Impressum in the Robert Boniface. George, you pay close attention to post parades and things like that. He looked a little washed out in here. Is that something that I can't remember that him being like that at night?
No, he's been really professional. It might have been because of the layoff. He hasn't been at the track. Maybe he's excited because he knows he sees the gate. He knows he's going to run, and maybe that's what might have lathered him up. Or it could have been the rider. Paul might have told him, all right, we got to make sure he breaks good out of the gate. So get him warmed up more so he's ready to fly out of there and, keep that good habit of breaking good. Because if that's like one of the keys of all in quarter horse racing is getting out of the gate well. And he did that in his work.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense there because one of the things that you mentioned is that he wasn't asked at all. They just wanted to make sure that he had a good experience. And again, with these Brazilian horses, anytime they're on the track and they have a good experience, that just takes them up a little bit further up in their development. And just being around new surroundings, it's still new surroundings for this horse. He spent the first 3.5 years of his life in Brazil, and only made his local debut here at Los Alamitos April 20th.
Yeah, and since he's a South American bred, last year he was basically a 3-year-old facing older the entire time. Like now he's about 4.5. I think he's an August bred. So yeah, he's still 4.5 years old right now. So he still has. That's why I think they also keep improving because they're giving up 6-7 months of maturity to their rivals.
Yeah, another example is Miss Isao JQM, who just keeps getting better every time that we see her here at Los Al. She won the Dashingly handicap at the beginning of the year. Here's the other trial. This one, it's an interesting one because as loaded as the other one was, this one does have a big star in BP Cartel Policy, who won the Winter Derby last year. Then a bunch of very interesting names. For example, Tempting Barbie. She's been in quite a few races, including the Rainbow Oaks here. Ran second in the West Texas Derby. She might be the only female horse in these trials. She's a 4-year-old mare. 4-year-old mare by Tempting Dash, and she showed some quickness in that gate work that she had. Your thoughts in this race? BP Cartel Policy, another single?
Normally, I don't like singling first time versus older, but he's not really facing that many older horses. He's only really facing Straight and True and Just Being a Friend as an older rival. Does draw next to Tempting Barbie, who is very quick. If you see all her races when she runs fresh, she flies out of the gate. And in that January 4th work, she showed a lot of quickness. She is very quick. So he's going to have to mind his gate manners. He has had a couple starts where he does not get out the greatest. And with the Duarte Nicasio on the outside, that horse is going to catch a flyer. So he has to make sure that he keeps his path. And also Kevin Weiss Corona is pretty quick early too. So that's the main concern is keeping his path early. But if he gets out of the gate, his races at this distance have been, they're way better than the rest of them. I mean, the only one that can kind of get close to his times was Just Being a Friend, but that was, 2-3 years ago. So he is strictly the one to beat. But if he has any kind of hiccup at the gate, I think it's a wide open race after that.
Yeah, BP Cartel Policy with several victories at 400 yards. And again, Tempting Barbie, if you go to our website, losalamitos.com, you can take a look at that January 4th workout, 12.2. She was fast out of the gate in that one. Kevin Spice Corona, another horse that should be a top contender to challenge for those top 2 spots. Again, you just gotta finish. Ahead of one horse to make sure that you return here for the Brad McKenzie final. This race with a presumptive berth to the champion of champions. Well, George, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us for the Los Alamitos preview show. We'll have the usual cast here next week. Chris Wade will be back. Michael Rona, of course, will be back. We'll have to catch up with how his trip to the land down under in Australia went for Michael Rona. Thanks so much, George. Remember, first post time here at Los Alamitos, 7 p.m. this Saturday night. Thanks so much, George.
Yeah, have a good one.
From January to December, Los Alamitos has night racing's best bets with big pools and outstanding payouts. Check out some of our recent pools to start out the year. The early Pick 4 pool on January 12th had a pool of over $190,000, and the late Pick 4 pool on January 5th had a pool of nearly $150,000. Plus, the traditional Pick 6 also offers big pools every weekend night. Big nights, big fun, and big pools from January to December at Los Alamitos.